Yes, hi dear students. So, in our last class, we discussed the concepts of the Coulomb's law, isn't it? The very important statement which gives the force of interaction between the two charges. And in today's session, we have to discuss the concepts of that limitations of that Coulomb's law. We must study the definition of that SI unit of the charge. We have to think of the representation of that vectorial form of the Coulomb's law. That is one of the important question. That is Coulomb's law in vector form. So after that, we have to study the concepts of the force experienced by the charge due to multiple charges, that is the force due to system of charges, and after that concept we have to move on to the concept of that electric field. Okay, so let us begin our discussion related to that limitations of Coulomb's law. Yes, as we know the statement of the Coulomb's law, it states that the force of attraction or repulsion between any two point charges. So this Coulomb's law has got the first most important limitation. It is applicable only for point charges. So point charges ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು ಅಂತ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ವಿಡಿಯೋದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಕಲ್ತಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ಸೊ ಹಾಗಾದ್ರೆ ಈ ಕೂಲಂಬ್ಸ್ ಲಾ ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಚಾರ್ಜಸ್ ಗೂ ಅಪ್ಲಿಕೇಬಲ್ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಅಪ್ಲಿಕೇಬಲ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಫಾರ್ ದ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಚಾರ್ಜಸ್. ಸೊ ಹಾಗಾದ್ರೆ point charges under there could be some limitation for the distance also, right? So the second limitation for Coulomb's law is that this Coulomb's law is applicable if and only if the distance is greater than 10 power minus 15 meters, that is Fermi meters. So point charges ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಮಗೆ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ, the size must be negligible when compared to that separation. So ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ನ್ಯೂಕ್ಲಿಯಸ್ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಈ Coulomb's law applicable ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. So one more limitation of the Coulomb's law is that the law is applicable or the law is valid if the distance must be greater than 10 power minus 15 meters. And the third limitation of the Coulomb's law is that we are studying electrostatics. That means this Coulomb's law is applicable only when the charges are in the state of rest. It is not applicable for the moving charges. If the charges are in the state of motion, then we can't measure that force of interaction between them by using Coulomb's law. And the last limitation related to that Coulomb's law, the value of the force what we are going to calculate by using that Coulomb's law will be decreased if that medium is going to be replaced. So we are going to in general consider the permittivity of the free space. That means the charges are kept in some free space. So we are going to get some value of the force of interaction between them, whether it may be attractive force or repulsive force. Our attractive force ಆದರೂ ಆಗಿರಲಿ, repulsive force ಆದರೂ ಆಗಿರಲಿ, ನಾವು ಮೆಜರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ force of interaction in some space. If that space would replace it by any other medium, then obviously this Coulomb force value will be gets reduced. ಯಾಕೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಈ permittivity free space ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಬಟ್ ಮೀಡಿಯಂ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಆಯಿತು ಅಂದರೆ, ಡೆನ್ಸಿಟಿ ಆಫ್ ದ ಮೀಡಿಯಂ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಹೋಯ್ತು ಅಂದರೆ ಈ ಪರ್ಮಿಟಿವಿಟಿ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ವೇರಿ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಫೋರ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಇಂಟ್ರಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಹಾಗಾದರೆ ಏನಿದು ಪರ್ಮಿಟಿವಿಟಿ ಅಂದರೆ, ಸೊ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಲಿಮಿಟೇಷನ್ಸ್ 4 ಇದಾವೆ, ಅವು 4 ಪರ್ಫೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಲೇಟರ್ ವಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಸ್ಟಡಿ ದ ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ permittivity. Okay, so the first limitation, it is applicable for point charges. The second one, based on the distance, the Coulomb's law is valid if the distances must be greater than 10 to the power of minus 15 meters. The Coulomb's law is applicable for only static charges, and the same limitation we can say that the Coulomb's law is not applicable for the moving charges. The fourth limitation is that the force value will be decreased if the medium is introduced than the space. So empty space ಬದಲು ಯಾವುದಾದ್ರೂ ಮೀಡಿಯಾದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಇಂಟ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದರೆ ಚಾರ್ಜಸ್ನ, ದಟ್ ಫೋರ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಇಂಟ್ರಾಕ್ಷನ್ ವಾಟ್ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಮೆಜರ್ಡ್ ಬೈ ಯೂಸಿಂಗ್ ದಟ್ ಕೂಲಮ್ಸ್ ಲಾ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಡಿಕ್ರೀಸ್ಡ್. ಸೊ ಹಾಗಾದರೆ ಕೂಲಮ್ಸ್ ಲಾ ಈಕ್ವೇಷನ್ ನೋಡಿದಾಗ ವಿ ಅಬ್ಸರ್ವ್ ದಟ್ ಎಫ್ ಇಸ್ ಈಕ್ವಲ್ಸ್ ಟು 1/4 pi epsilon naught Q1 Q2 upon R square, where this epsilon naught we got its value and we are calling that as a permittivity of a free space. Permittivity of a free space. So ಹಾಗಾದ್ರೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮೀಡಿಯಂಗೂ ಈ ಪರ್ಮಿಟಿವಿಟಿ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ಸೇಮ್ ಇರೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಹಾಗಾದ್ರೆ ಏನಿದು ಪರ್ಮಿಟಿವಿಟಿ ಆಫ್ ಅ ಮೀಡಿಯಂ ಅಂದ್ರೆ it is the property of a medium because of which it can decrease the force of interaction between the two charges. ಓಕೆನಾ? ಸೊ ಎರಡು ಚಾರ್ಜ್ಗಳ ನಡುವೆ ಇರುವಂತಹ ಫೋರ್ಸ್ನ ಡಿಕ್ರೀಸ್ ಮಾಡುವಂತಹ ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ಟಿ ಆಫ್ ದ ಮೀಡಿಯಂ ಈಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಪರ್ಮಿಟಿವಿಟಿ. ಸೊ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ನಾವು ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ತಗೊಳೋದಾದ್ರೆ ಈಗ ನೋಡಿ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ರೂಮಲ್ಲೇ ಸೊ ಯಾರು ಟೀಚರ್ಸ್ ಲೆಕ್ಚರ್ಸ್ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂದರೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಪಾಡಿಗೆ ನೀವು ಇಂಟ್ರಾಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತೀರ, ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತೀರಿ. ಸೊ ಯಾರಾದರೂ ಲೆಕ್ಚರ್ ಎಂಟ್ರಿ ಆದರು ಅಂದರೆ ಯು ಆರ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಕೀಪ್ ಕ್ವೈಟ್. ದಟ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ಯುವರ್ ಇಂಟರಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆಯಿತು, ಇಸಂಟ್ ಇಟ್? ಸೊ ಅಂದರೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲೂ ಇಂಟರಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಒಂದೇ ರೀತಿ ಇರೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮೀಡಿಯಮಲ್ಲೂ ದ ಫೋರ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಇಂಟರಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಬಿಟ್ವೀನ್ ದ ಚಾರ್ಜಸ್ ಇಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಸೇಮ್. ಇಫ್ ಮೀಡಿಯಂ ಚೇಂಜಸ್, the force of interaction also changes. So the property of the medium which decreases the force of interaction between the charges is called permittivity, and this permittivity varies from medium to medium. So now general agi calculate ಮಾಡೋದು free space ತಗೊಂಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು just we are going to calculate that k value, isn't it? So this k value also plays a very important role while we are going to define the definition of the SI unit of the charge. Okay, now so we already know that SI unit of charge is coulomb. So today we have to define that SI unit of the charge. ನೋಡಿ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಕರೆಕ್ಟಾಗಿ ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕು. ಮೆನ್ಷನ್ ದ SI unit of charge ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿದಾಗ ಕೂಲೂಮ್ ಅಂತ ಬರೆದ್ರೆ ಸಾಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಆದರೆ define the SI unit of the charge anta kelidaglu, if we just simply write coulomb, we won't get any marks. So now let us try to get the definition of the SI unit of the charge, that is define coulomb. So this coulomb can be defined with the help of that Coulomb's law itself. So I am going to once again consider that expression. So F is equals to K Q1 Q2 by R square. In the last class we came to know about that value of that k, where we are considering it as a proportionality constant or some dielectric constant, and we know that k is equals to 9 into 10 to the power of 9 Newton meter square coulomb inverse square. 9 into 10 to the power of 9 Newton meter square coulomb inverse square. So ಈ ಫಾರ್ಮುಲಾ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡು now we have to define SI unit, that is nothing but 1 coulomb. ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಗಮನ ಕೊಡಿ, ಯಾವ ಪ್ಯಾರಾಮೀಟರ್ಸ್ನ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಕೆ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ. So now I am going to consider this separation between the two charges, that is equals to unity, that is nothing but 1 meter. That is equals to unity, that is nothing but 1 meter, and I am also considering these charges as unit charges, that is nothing but 1 coulomb. Yes, so now with the help of these references I am going to define SI unit of the charge. The charge is said to be 1 coulomb. The charge is said to be 1 coulomb when it is placed at a distance of 1 meter from similar charge experiences the force of 9 into 10 to the power of 9 newtons. That charge is said to be 1 coulomb of charge. ನೋಡಿ ಇನಿಷಿಯಲಿ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ನಿಮಗೆ ಕನ್ಫ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು, ಆದರೆ if once we understand that, the definition is very simple. Yes, please observe here. So k value 9 into 10 power 9. Yes, force 9 into 10 power 9. Q1 Q2 ಎರಡು ಯೂನಿಟಿ ಅಂತ ತಗೊಂತಾ ಇದೀವಿ. 1 into 1 divided by R value is also 1. So just we left with 10 to the power of 9. That is a force that is measured in newtons. So ಹಾಗಾದ್ರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು 1 coulomb is the charge which is placed at a distance of 1 meter from the similar charge in space repels with a force of 9 into 10 to the power of 9 newtons. So ಯಾವ ಚಾರ್ಜ್ ನಾವು 1 ಕೂಲಮ್ ಅಂತ ಕರೀಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಇದೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, if we consider that charge when placed at a distance of 1 meter in space from similar charge ಇಂದ 1 ಮೀಟರ್ ಅಷ್ಟು ದೂರದಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ಪೇಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ಟಾಗ ಅದೇನಾದ್ರೂ 9 into 10 to the power of 9 ನ್ಯೂಟನ್ ಫೋರ್ಸ್ ನಿಂದ ರಿಪಲ್ಷನ್ ಆದ್ರೆ that charge is said to be 1 coulomb. So once again I am giving the definition. So 1 coulomb is the charge when placed in a space at a distance of 1 meter from similar charge experiences a repulsion of 9 into 10 to the power of 9 newtons. It is said to be 1 coulomb. Then we can say that charge is said to be 1 coulomb. Okay, now very important idu 1 marks ige define coulomb, where SI unit of charge is coulomb. We have to define that coulomb. Okay, now yes, now we have to move on to one of the important discussion, that is vector form of Coulomb's law. So Coulomb's law statement ಆಯ್ತು, Coulomb's law equation form ಗೊತ್ತಾಯ್ತು. ಈಗ ವೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಆಫ್ Coulomb's law ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕು. ಎಸ್, ವೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಆಫ್ Coulomb's law. ಎಸ್, ನಾನು ಜನರಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಬರೀತೀನಿ, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೇನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಹೋಗ್ತೀನಿ. ಎಸ್ ನೋಡಿ, ನಿನ್ನೆ ನಾವು ಈಕ್ವೇಶನ್ ಬರ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ವಿ. F is equals to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught magnitude of the charges Q1 Q2 divided by R square. Here that F, we know that it is force of interaction, and always that force is vector. Therefore this force of interaction could have the particular direction. It could have the particular direction. So we have to write this force of interaction between the charges by considering the direction, that is nothing but the vector form. In general we are going to write that is F is equals to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 Q2 divided by R square into R cap. R square into R cap. ಇದನ್ನ ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ಆಗಿ ರೆಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ತೋರಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ. ಆದರೆ so let us consider Q1 is a charge having the position vector R1 and Q2 is the second charge having the position vector R2. So R1, R2, they are the position vectors of the two charges Q1 and Q2. Yes, so they have got some separation between the two charges, that is Q1 and Q2. Now here we have two charges. So Q1 may exert force on Q2. The same way Q2 will exert force on Q1. So ಹಾಗಾದ್ರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಎರಡು ರೀತಿಯಾದಂತಹ ಈಕ್ವೇಶನ್ ಬರೆಯಬಹುದಾಗುತ್ತೆ. First I am going to consider force on first charge due to second charge. Yes, please look at the board. I am going to write the now equation of force on first charge due to second charge. That symbolically we have to write it as F12. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಸಿಂಪ್ಲಿ ಜನರಲ್ ಆಗಿ F ಅಂತ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಬರಿತಾ ಇದ್ವಿ, ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ F12 ಬರಿತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಸಬ್ಸ್ಕ್ರಿಪ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ 12 ಅದೇನು ಇಂಡಿಕೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಫೋರ್ಸ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಆನ್ ದ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಚಾರ್ಜ್ ಡ್ಯೂ ಟು ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಚಾರ್ಜ್, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ force experienced by the first charge due to second charge. F12 is equals to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught. There is no change in that 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught. The magnitudes also remain same, that is Q1 into Q2 divided by, here that R is the separation, and for interaction between that F12 we have to consider that distance as R12 square into R12 cap. ನೋಡಿ ಏನು ವ್ಯತ್ಯಾಸ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, here this R12, that is the position vectors for the first charge and the second charge, where we are going to write R12 is equals to R1 minus R2. R12 is equals to R1 minus R2. So, ಇದು ವ್ಯತ್ಯಾಸ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ, if we consider the second charge is experiencing the force due to first charge, that is force on second charge due to first charge, because both are exerting force on each other. So now we have to write it as F21. Notes ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ corrections ಇದೆ, ಇದನ್ನು correct ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. Force on first charge due to second charge, that is F12. So ಅದು edit ಮಾಡಿದೆ, but unfortunately edit ಆಗಿರೋದು consider ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ, save ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ ಅದು. So force on first charge due to second charge, make it as F12. In the same way, force acting on second charge due to first charge, that is F21. That is, second charge is experiencing force because of first charge. F21 is equals to, what we can write here? 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught. Product of magnitude of charges remains same, that is Q1 into Q2 divided by, now the positions, we have to consider that positions vector as R21 square into R21 cap, where we can consider R21 is equals to R2 minus R1. Yes, this is very important. So general agi vector form illi represent ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ. 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 Q2 by R square into R cap. In particular, if we have two charges, both are exerting force on each other. First charge is going to exert force on the second charge. In the same way, the second charge will exert the force on the first charge. So F12, force acting on first charge due to second charge, is equals to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 Q2 by R12 square into R12 cap. Then force on second charge due to first charge, F21 is equals to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 Q2 by R21 square into R21 cap, where R21 is equals to R2 minus R1. So if we observe these two position vectors, we can consider that R12 is exactly opposite to that of R21. So ಈ position vectors ಏನಾಗಿರ್ತವೆ, equal in magnitude but they were in opposite direction. So ಹಾಗಾದ್ರೆ based on that position vector concepts, these two forces, that is F12 can be related with F21 as F12 is equals to minus F21, where they have same magnitudes but the direction must be in opposite direction. The direction of application of the force becomes opposite. So ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಇದನ್ನ ನಾವು ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂತೀವಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, yes, let us consider if Q1 is exerting force on Q2 and both are positive charges. ಎರಡು ಪಾಸಿಟಿವ್ ಚಾರ್ಜಸ್ ಅನ್ಕೊಳ್ರಿ. Q1 exerts force on Q2, so it is applying opposing force because repel ಆಗಬೇಕಲ್ಲ. So this is the direction of F21, because F1 is exerting force on the second charge, isn't it? F21, first charge is exerting force on the second charge, so this is the direction of F21. If we consider force exerted by the second charge on the first charge, obviously they are of same polarity, so it is also going to exert repulsive force. So this will be the direction of F12, that is force on first charge due to second charge. So here clearly we can observe that F12 and F21, they are opposite direction. They are in opposite direction with respect to each other. So hagadre F12 is equals to minus F21. They have same magnitude but action of the forces were in opposite directions. This F12 is acting along R12. This F21 is acting along R21. Since R12 and R21, they are equal and opposite, therefore F12 will be equals to minus F21. 1. So this is the vector representation of the Coulomb's law. So general ಆಗಿ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇದನ್ನ ಬರೆದು ಬಿಡಿ. Okay, ಅಕಸ್ಮಾತ್ ಏನಾದರೂ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೈನ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರೆ we have to write in these things in detail. Now we have to think of the force due to system of charges or force due to multiple charges. ಇಷ್ಟೊತ್ತು ಕೂಲಂಬ್ಸ್ ಲಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಕೇವಲ ಎರಡು ಚಾರ್ಜಸ್ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ತಗೊಂತಾ ಇದ್ವಿ, q1 q2 ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು. So let us extend this Coulomb's law for system of charges where we can have n number of charges. So ಹಾಗಾದ್ರೆ what is the formula we have to use if we consider n number of charges? That is electric force due to system of charges or multiple charges. Yes. For that, yes, force due to system of charges or force between the multiple charges. So let us consider a point charge, that is q1, which is surrounded by set of charges. We can have n number of charges. I am just considering this is q2, this is q3, q4, so on. This is the nth charge. So for finding the Coulomb force between the charges, we require the distance or separation between them. So let us consider R12 is the distance between the first and the second charge. R13 is the separation between the first and third. R14, similarly we can have R1n. All the charges were exerting some force on the first charge. Okay, so the force of interaction between that first and second charge, it will act along the line joining the two charges. So this could be the direction of F12, where F12 stands for force on the first charge due to second charge. In the same way, the first charge is experiencing force because of the third charge. So this could be the direction of F13, and the force of interaction between the first and fourth charge, this could be the direction of F14, like this. We can have n number of forces acting on the first charge. So now we have to get the total force experienced by the first charge due to other charges present in the system, that we are calling it as a force due to multiple charges. Coulomb's law dalli first second ಅಷ್ಟೇ ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ವಿ, ಆದರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ the force experienced by the first charge because of all remaining charges in the system. So in order to get the total charge experienced by that first charge because of the remaining charges, we have to just get the algebraic sum of the forces acting on that first charge due to other charges, considering one at a time. ಏನಪ್ಪ ಇದರ ಮೀನಿಂಗ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, yes, once again I am giving the statement. Force on any point charge due to number of charges in the system is the vector sum of all the forces on that given charge due to other charges taken one at a time. Andre iga force on first charge total ಬೇಕು ನಮಗೆ. So just I am going to consider initially we have to measure F12 first. What is F12? That is the force of interaction between the first and second charge, or we can say force experienced by the first charge due to second charge, that is F12. We can write this F12 as 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q1 q2 divided by the separation between them is R12. So R12 square into R12 cap. So ಏನಿದ್ರ ಮೀನಿಂಗು, ಟೇಕನ್ ಒನ್ ಅಟ್ ಎ ಟೈಮ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ n ನಂಬರ್ ಆಫ್ ಚಾರ್ಜಸ್ ಒಂದೇ ಸತಿ ತಗೊಂಡು ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಬರೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಫಸ್ಟ್ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ನೋ ದ ಇಂಟ್ರಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಬಿಟ್ವೀನ್ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್, ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಥರ್ಡ್, ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಫೋರ್ತ್, ಲೈಕ್ ದಟ್. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಒಂದೊಂದೇ ಚಾರ್ಜು ಎಷ್ಟು ಫೋರ್ಸ್ ನ ಎಕ್ಸರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಇಂಡಿವಿಜುವಲ್ ಅಂತ ನೋಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಲೇಟರ್ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಟೇಕ್ ದ ಆಲ್ಜಿಬ್ರಾಯಿಕ್ ಸಮ್ ಆಫ್ ಆಲ್ ದ forces acting on the first charge because of the other charges present in the system. So F12 ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ the force of interaction between the first and third charge, that is F13. What we can write for F13? That is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 Q3 divided by R13 square into R13 cap, and so on. Finally, I am going to move on to that F1n, where this F1n is the force of interaction between the first and the nth charge. In particular, we can say the force on first charge due to the nth charge, that can be written as 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 Qn divided by R1n square into R1n cap. R1n cap. So the total force acting on that first charge because of the other charges is F is equals to F12 plus F13 plus 1 plus F1n. F1n. So what is F12? We have the equation with us, right? Yes. Now make the substitution for that. So we have got the total force on that F, just we can consider as F1. So that F1 is equals to, what is F12? 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 Q2 by R12 square into R12 cap. F13 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 Q3 by R13 square into R13 cap. So in all the terms we are going to take that 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught as a common, and along with that 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 is common in all the terms. Q1 saha namage enagide common agide. So let us take that Q1 is also common. Then what will left in that F12 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಬರೆದಿದ್ದೀವಿ, Q1 ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಬರೆದಿದ್ದೀವಿ. Just we left with Q2 divided by R12 square. Q2 divided by R12 square into R12 cap plus what we left in that F13. We have taken 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 as a common. We left with Q3 by R13 square into R13 cap plus so on, plus for nth charge we can write it as Qn divided by R1n square into R1n cap. R1n cap. Yes. This vector sum can be written as F1, that is the total force on the first charge due to the other charges in the system, is yes Q1 by 4 pi epsilon naught. Here we have sum of n number of terms, so that can be written in terms of summation. So summation, here the variable is, we have to consider it as I. It varies from 2 to n. Why we are not writing that I varies from 1 to n means we are considering force experiencing by the first charge due to second, third, fourth up to n number of charges. So that's why here that first charge is common. So that variable is from second, third, fourth, so on up to n number of charges. So Qi divided by R1I square into R1I cap. Yes, get the meaning of this. F1 is equals to Q1 divided by 4 pi epsilon naught summation Qi divided by R1I square into R1I cap, where that I varies from 2 to n. Where that I varies from 2 to n. So this is the force due to system of charges or multiple charges. So next to this we have to move on to the concepts of electric field. The expression of the electric field, we have to get the expression due to point charge expression due to system of charges, there also we have to use the superposition principle, as we just now used that superposition principle for getting the total force due to system of charges. And we have to think of the representation of that electric field for the source charge which is positive and the source charge which is negative, and for the system of dipole and for the system of like charges. So electric field ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ represent ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, electric field lines ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು, all these things we have to study in the next session. Okay.